Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be fairly simple and fairly quick. Just going to walk through what I've built so far with the dashboard for Digital Shopfront and talk a little bit about what's coming up next. So here, get the simple login. There's also a register function that can be turned on and off in the settings. And then this is the dashboard. We sort of have this header section. This goes to this will eventually go to the home page. This will go either to like the home page, or if like we're in here editing a page or a post or whatever, it would go to that page or post on the front end. Search functionality that will need to be built sometime in the future. A quick sort of add content menu. Can add media user role. Right now, that's all I have so far. A notification section for different notifications, and probably something I'll talk about next time when we look at the code. There's a way for if you were to create an extension, you would be able to create your own sort of notifications here. You can mark it as red, dismiss, and then a profile drop down. And then what I think is sort of the fun part about all of this is this sort of dashboard widget section. You'd be able to add in all sorts of different widgets if you wanted to. Obviously not a lot right now, but as this gets built out and as more functionality comes into it, and eventually more extensions get built into it, this will populate with a lot of different useful widgets. I'm envisioning things like graphs, stats, orders, those sorts of things. And you can move them around like so. You can just have all sorts of fun, and then you can come in here and you can edit different settings, and then like how many columns and rows and the background, all that. So that's fairly simple. There is a media library. It's fairly basic right now, but here's the different images that I've uploaded. You can click to open a modal, which allows you to edit the information about the image, name, alternative text, caption, categories. If you don't have a category you need, you can add one right here. Same with tags. And then you can drag and drop, adding media here. And then you can manage your media categories and media tags here. Next up, we have users. If for those who are administrators, or they have a role that has the capability for managing, editing users, you'll see the list of users here. You can also add a new user like this. So. Everybody would be able to update their profile, and then here is sort of a select media component in action, where you'd be able to upload a profile photo of yourself or pick one if it's already here. Select media, anyway, show up here, bio, also have password. Appearance with a color picker. Unfortunately, I'm learning that the color picker doesn't show up if you come from a different page. But something simple like this, and that color affects the button colors. This sort of color for the active item, and then some of these border colors. And other places where you see sort of this accent color come out. Next up, if you have a role that allows you to manage or edit users. You'll see sort of an add role or roles section. So here's like sort of a table. You can also create your own roles, and then you just give it a name, and the slug fills in automatically. You can change it if you want, but that should save you time, and you don't have to worry about making sure that it's the right format. And then you can select all the capabilities you want that role to have, and then you just hit save, and now that role is here. And then finally we just have settings. So we have sort of general settings here, site information. We have date, time, language, and a few other settings. Something I'll be working on soon is an API, sort of discussion or comment settings. Here, media settings. This will get filled out more as things get built. I have this option here, but I haven't built that functionality yet. Permalinks. There'll be content settings, security, privacy, some settings for users. These two are, or this one's pretty interesting. You can, so for each role that's here, you can select, what dashboard widgets are available for each role. So if you don't want you don't want a role to be able to see something that's sensitive or something like that, you can make sure you can hide that dashboard widget from them here. You can also select starting dashboard widgets for each role. That way, whenever a new user is created or registered, they're not just staring at a blank dashboard. There's something there, at least they can get started with. And then finally, going back to notifications, here you can control all the different notifications that can appear on the site. So for each one, you can change or customize who gets sent the notification. It could be so like someone logs in, you want that current user to get the notification, or you could site administrator, which goes back to the site admin email from earlier, or all administrators. You can choose whether to send an email with a notification, and then you can enable or disable that notification. So it gives you a little bit more control over notifications. I know, just coming from the WordPress world, I know notifications are a big sort of point of contention / pain point because of how they're displayed. And so one of the things I'm focusing on building is just right from the start is an easier notifications section. So you can see it here, or you can control things here. They are mostly hidden out of sight over here. So that should hopefully keep those clean. So really that's what I built so far. As you can tell, it's different from the designs I showed. I kind of figured that was going to happen. Also in profile, there's sort of a light mode to go with it. Still, it looks way different than before. Kind of figured that was going to happen, and it's probably not going to change. A little bit before recording this, I've been using, so a lot of this looks like Flux UI, because it is, and realizing I can't really use that in this project. So one of the big things I'm going to be working on for basically the rest of this month is going to be replacing all the Flux components with custom components, custom built components, which will be a challenge. But I think for me personally, it's going to be, I'll be better at the end of it because I'll have more experience working with Livewire, Laravel, Tailwind, all of that. But it is just going to be a big challenge. And then the other thing is starting to build out the visual editor and a site editor. Those are really the two big things, or three, I guess. Three big things. So yeah, the good news is once I get those done, really phase one of the project would be mostly done. There would obviously be still things to work on, like themes, plugins, forms, and emails. But I would imagine sort of on the back side of knocking out, the hardest part, I think, of this whole project. Those should be at least a little bit easier. We'll see. But yeah, so far building up good momentum. Can also check out the GitLab repo that I put down in the description below to look through more of the code. I think next time we'll dive more into the code because I'm not sure how much visually I'll have done here. And if you want to see those updates on Digital Shopfront, as well as more videos about Laravel, web design, web development, all that fun business, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.